Ibi gbogbo lọ́nà ládé kojú ibi gbogbo. Ibi mọ́ mi, ibi gbogbo lọ́nà ẹ̀rù yìí mà dé o. Ọládé kojú dé o. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi mà dé o. Ẹ̀rù ṣọlá. Akọlọ́dọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ o. Abiyamọ gbọ̀dá ńlá. Ọlọ́rọ̀ gbọ́rọ̀ o. Ìrètí gbé ládé kojú ọ̀ṣun ṣẹ̀ǹgẹ̀ṣẹ̀ olóyà. If you can hear me, just type in the comment section that you can hear me. How is everybody doing? Oh, yeah, yeah. If you can hear me, just wave. Let me see you. Oh, yeah, yeah. We have about, let me see, we have about a minute. If you can hear me. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yes, you can hear me. Awesome. Wonderful. So we're starting right about now. If you have friends that you want to join you on the live, just share the link with them. We're waiting for a few more people. Just hold on. Okay, yes, we are live now. So this is my first Instagram live on this page, yeah, before the other page was taken down. So today, okay, don't let's be distracted by the music. Like you can see, the topic of this live, this teaching today is uncovering the truth about African spirituality. And I know that whoever it is that joining me live is either an African who is trying to find their way in spirituality, or you're just curious, to know about all of these things. And in the last 1 week, I have been sharing certain things on my WhatsApp status, and I know that a whole lot of people have been asking questions. You guys really want to know what the truth about it is. Now, let me start by asking this question, which is an obvious question. What do you think, as regards religion and spirituality in Africa, which one do you think existed first? I'm not saying which one came first. I mean, nobody has accurate figures or time frame as to which religion came before which. But asking yourself, in Africa, which religion did we practice first? Which ones did we practice first? Okay, yes, you are on time. Which religion did we practice first? The African religion, our African spirituality, or the Christian and Islamic religion? Obviously, we practiced our own religion first. Now, that's the first thing that we knew. Now, I will be talking so much about the Yoruba form of religion, the Yoruba spirituality, and a lot of people are embracing it. It's the form of spirituality that covers Ifa, Orisha, and Isheshe. So it depends on what you know it by, but it's just purely African spirituality. And this is the way it was practiced among the Yoruba speaking people of Nigeria. And not only that, along the coastal region of West Africa. Now, if we have been practicing these religions first, our own form of spirituality, before Christianity came in, there were a whole lot of things that they didn't want us to know. That's why they covered it up. Now, every religion has their holy book, right? The same way you have the Bible and the Quran, we have the Holy Book of Ifa. It is called Mo Ifa. That's Yoruba. That's Holy Book of Ifa. So this doesn't have like any teaching or anything in it. It just has the 256 Odwifa. So you have like, it goes like that in this numeric form. That's how it's written, okay? And that's why we all say that arithmetic, mathematics, and numbers started with Ifa, you see. Binary is what we have used to explain and understand religion and spirituality in Ifa. So we have from number one like that up until we have number 256. Yeah, 256. So these 256 Odrifa, as we call it, are known as like chapters and verses of the Holy Book, right? Now, the very first one, number one, this very first one, is called Ejiobe. And in the second verse of this first one, I will be sharing an interesting story with you. Now, in that story, just so that you know that we're reading from here, in that story, it talks about a young lady. Her name is Oyigi. So I'll be saying some certain things in Yoruba language, but I will interpret it in English. So it says, Oyigi te Ifá, ó bá Ifá sọ̀rọ̀, ọmọge ló jẹ́, ṣé òun yóò bímọ, ṣé òun yóò lọ́kọ. So Oyigi went to her spiritualist, went to her Babalawo, went to her Ifa priest for two requests. She was a young virgin. She didn't have a man and she didn't have a child. So she came to request of Ifa, what do I need to do to have a child and to have a husband, And her Ifa priest said, okay, these are the rituals that you have to do. Ifa promises that you are going to have a child. And they went on to say here that wọ́n sọ fún pé yóò bí ọmọkùnrin ni yóò sì bí, ọ̀nà ìyanu ni yóò sì gbà bí, meaning that they promised her that she was going to have a child and it was going to be a male child and he was going to be born in the most miraculous way, right? So 6 months down the line, her friends are noticing, hey babe, looks like you're pregnant. And she's like, no, I can't be pregnant. I don't know a man. I don't have a man in my life. How would I be pregnant? And then she went back to her priest and then they did a consultation and Ifa confirmed that she was pregnant. And she was shocked. They were shocked as well because she hadn't known a man. She was a virgin and she was pregnant. And the child was special and he was a male child. Now, after she has done that consultation, Orunmila, who was the first Ifa priest, he was one that brought Ifa to earth. He was the first person that did divinations and all of that. He was one that did the first person that did the divination and all of that. When he saw that, he decided to keep this young lady with him in the shrine, taking care of her. And then, she goes about her daily activities. And on this fateful day, she went to the woods to cut trees and she had her baby miraculously. And she brought the baby back to the shrine. This is the child they promised I was going to have. Was his name, because this is unusual. And Ifa said his name will be called Ella. Ella. That's like when you say Ella, Ela. And the child Ella grew up in the shrine. He learned everything about priesthood, everything about Ifa, everything about spirituality. Orunmila trained him. But understand the fact that Oyigi still did not have a husband. So she left her son there and she said, you know what, I feel like this one has a special calling. And he kept on growing. When it was time for Orunmila to go back to heaven, he gathered all the priests and told them, now I would go. But if you need to communicate with me, you will communicate with me through Ella. Ask him for anything, he would ask me, and I will give you responses. And that was the way it went. And Ella grew, never married, never had children. All his life was devoted to the work of priesthood and the work of Ifa. And he kept on. And when it was time for him to also go, he looked at the priest who was there and he told them, he said, this is going to be the instruction. If you want to ask anything, you would mention my name 3 times. Now, let me read it to you from the Odrifa. So just like we read out of the Bible, let me read to you from the Odrifa. It says, àṣẹ tí Ọ̀rúnmìlà fi sílẹ̀ kí ó tó lọ ni kí wọ́n máa tẹ̀lé. Ìdí nìyí tí ó fi jẹ́ wípé tí a bá fẹ́ pe Elédùmarè a ó pe ẹ̀làrọ̀ ní ìgbà mẹ́ta, Ọ̀rúnmìlà ní ìgbà mẹ́ta, yóò gbọ́ láti òde ọ̀run láti fèsì ìbéèrè wọn. What does that mean? Now, when he was about to go, he gave an instruction that if they needed to ask for anything, they should call his name 3 times, Elaro 3 times, Olumilaro 3 times, and anything that they requested from Eledumare, from God, he was going to answer. Now, wrap up that story and compare that story with the story of Jesus the Christ in the Bible. Which is why I asked you initially, which one do you think was first practiced among the Africans, among the Yoruba speaking people of Nigeria and the West Coast? Was it Ifa, which is our Yoruba traditional religion, or Christianity? So it means that this story has been there before Christianity came to Nigeria. Now, going through history and on Google, I went to find out when was the first church established in Nigeria, and they mentioned the Christ Church. They mentioned one other church in Badagry, I think the Christ Church of the Anglican Communion, something. But both of them came less than 200 years ago, just 2 centuries. And before 2 centuries, our people, our ancestors has existed. There was the African community, the African world. Before 200 years ago, at least precisely in Nigeria, before 200 years ago, there were people that existed and they practiced something. And this Ifa religion is the oldest of all that was being practiced. And this particular story, an exact replica of the story of the virgin birth of Jesus and his calling and his way of life, was already in Ifa. We knew these things already. It was not Christianity that brought the idea that a special male child was born of a virgin who lived a life to be spiritually inclined, serving the people and serving God. It wasn't Christianity that brought that to us. Now, hold that thought. Secondly, now, if you look at Christianity as a religion, the two major pillars that hold Christianity as a religion is the virgin birth of Christ and then the death and the resurrection of Christ, not just his death. Every other prophet that came died, but the resurrection of Christ on the third day. Now, for those of you that are Yoruba speaking, or you have people around you, hi from Jamaica, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much. And from every other person, I see some people from the UAE, from Dubai, I see some people from the UK, from Nigeria, from Ghana. This is awesome. Thank you. So the second thing, right now, when it comes to Yoruba tradition, every tradition has a way of burying the dead. Burial rites are done in certain ways. Now, if you make inquiries from your grandfathers and your great grandfathers of how burial was done, the burial rites, and our beliefs of the afterlife as Yoruba people, they will tell you. But just because you might not be able to get, you don't have people around you that are that old, or someone, I mean, some of us, our grandfathers, great grandfathers, have already lost touch with tradition and they are following, other foreign religions, which is absolutely okay. Sorry, I will take your questions afterwards, so I'm not distracted. You might not have people to ask, but for those of you that are Yoruba, for those of you that have been following and searching about African spirituality, particularly on YouTube, you would have heard of the name Araba Ifayemi Elebuibon. He's doing a great job. He's one of our fathers who have fought with everything to make sure that African spirituality, particularly Ifa religion, is not covered and buried. He has been able to go far beyond the shores of Africa to the US, to Europe, to talk a lot about it. So you can go to YouTube and find out what Baba Ifayemi says about the Yoruba tradition when it comes to burial rites. And I'm going to recount the same thing so you can go on and confirm. Now, in Yoruba culture, when somebody passes on, Some people, before they pass on, because they already have this inkling that they are going to pass, they have already chosen the clothes that they would wear. For those that haven't chosen, they bring the best of their clothes. Yoruba call it itele akpoti. That's like that very lovely clothes that you put under your box, right? They wash the body with the osun, with the soap and the sponge. They dress the person up. They shave the hair on the hubs, and then they wrap the person in white outfits, like white clothes, wrap in white. And usually they are just wrapped in white because you want to be able to carry the body for people that cannot afford a coffin, or they don't want a coffin. Now, all that is done inside the house. The body is taken outside. There are three mortars, mortar that you used to pound, that mortar and pestle. Now, there are three of them laid outside in front of the house. Níwájú ilé yẹn gangan. And then the body is placed on it. Now, people are coming to pay their last respect, they are eulogizing, they are crying, they are doing, all of these things. It's either done in front of the person's house, the compound, or in the passage, the walkway. You know the way it is with old houses where you have rooms on this side, rooms on that side, and then you have a passage. So the mortar is placed there, and the eulogizing and everything is done. After all of that is done, it's time for the body to be buried. Now, note something. In Yoruba tradition, Yoruba religion, we do not bury people in cemeteries. We do not bury people in graveyards. We do not bury people outside the house. No. Bodies are buried inside the house. Okay? If the person did not personally own a house, there must be a family house where he comes from. The body is buried there. So either in the living room or in the bedroom. That's where it is. Now, let me clear your doubts, because a lot of us have had the opportunity to visit houses where bodies have been buried, and we're scared. We feel like the ghost will be tormenting you and be torturing you. No. In fact, it's a very good opportunity for the children of the deceased to go back to where their parents were buried in the house, sit down with them, speak to them, talk to them overnight. Okay? So it is safe to be in the same house with that. There's nothing bad about it. Now, after all of that is done, on the third day, one, two, three, according to Yoruba tradition and religion, we believe that everybody that passes, their spirits resurrect on the third day after the rite has been done. And that rite is called Ibole. That's what the rite is called, Ibole. And then there is this ritual that is done. We call it Oro Ibole. It is that Oro Ibole that we do to tell ourselves that now the spirit of this person can come out of the body and go. On the third day, it is a practice, a tradition that we have been living with way before church or Christianity came to Nigeria, came to Africa. Is that okay? So on that third day, if it's a female that passed on, they have four boys and three girls. If it's a male, we have five boys and four girls, and they are all virgins. Tí wọn ò tíì bàlágà, àwọn ọmọ tó ò tíì bàlágà, virgin boys and girls. They come with this stick that we call igi teterebo, and then they are hitting on the place where the body was buried. And songs are going on, prayers are going on. People are in front of the house waiting, and they start to do that. So that ritual starts. Now, within the process of that Oro Ibole, we do what we call four Igba Oku. Igba is a calabash. So Toba for Igba Oku, it means that they break the calabash of the dead person. So it symbolizes the fact that every one of us here, we still have our calabashes intact. But this person has passed, and we're about to release the spirit of this person, then we break it. And then once it is, they call the person's name three times and break the calabash. Officially, the spirit is allowed to leave. Now, it is spirit. We cannot see it. You and I cannot see them with our optical eyes. So what is usually done is that there's a member of that family who is dressed in white and walks out of the passage to front of the house. And at that point, singing, dancing, there's all of that. And we believe that the spirit of that person has risen and is going to the place of judgment. Now, there's something else we also believe. There's a book, tí àwọn irúnmọlẹ̀ kọ. It's similar to what the Bible calls the book of life, or I don't know what book they call it now, where the activities of the person's life is in a book. Okay? Irúnmọlẹ̀ are like spirits. So by writing the activity of each person, everything you are doing, they are writing it down. So when you're done with everything, it's like Ebola is done and your spirit is out, it goes there to face judgment, to answer questions, to explain certain things. And then the good side and bad side is weighed and judgment is served based on whatever it is that the person gets. Now, does that sound similar to the story that they told us about Jesus passing and resurrecting third day? Or something. I'm not here to say, oh, it didn't happen to Jesus. I'm not here to say, oh, they stole it out of Ifa. No, it could have existed in another part of the world. I mean, for us, it wasn't even a big deal. It happens to everybody. It's a right that every Yoruba person goes through. I'm not sure how many people are still practicing that till today, but that right there is our own culture and tradition. Now, hold that thought again. I wrote down a few things so that I will not spend, because this is what I love to do. I love teaching. So I just don't keep talking and talking out of what is supposed to be. Now, there are certain other things that you need to note. The first churches that came to Nigeria, I'm taking Nigeria for a reference. The first churches that came from the Anglican community, from the Methodist communion, from the Baptist communion, from the Catholic communion, from the Church of England. These were the foundation of what we knew as church. This is what was presented to us in Africa as church. Now, none of these things, none of these churches had anything that sounded like people were speaking in tongues. No, I have not been to any Anglican church where people are literally praying and speaking in tongues. No, they did not have anything that sounded like they're praying for somebody and somebody is falling under the anointing and manifesting and shaking on the floor. And one them, the spirit is coming on there and they are doing like this. No, there is no such thing as oh, take this holy water, go and drink it, go and do this, go and do that, take this oil. There's a miracle, a man walks in with amputated legs and poof, he's standing up and he's walking. It doesn't exist in any of these churches that they presented to us by the slave masters. It did not exist there. Now, so many other things. The act of singing and dancing, and you know the way it is done in African churches these days. I mean, in the Orthodox churches, they sing hymns, they pray from the books, and that's all they do. So all the singing and dancing and jubilating and everything and drum rolls, it wasn't there, and it still isn't there. So question is, at what point did it get there? And if you look at it very well, the churches that practice these things are churches that are owned or led by people of color. Yeah. So if you are looking at it, Acts 1 and 2 together, this thing must have come into the church from somewhere because it wasn't originally in the church. And in the original churches, it still doesn't exist there, but it exists with a certain group of people, which again, I will say there's absolutely nothing wrong in it. But we need to understand where that came from. Now, take Yoruba culture across the western coast of Africa for an example. When they brought church to us, right, we had something we were practicing before, and we had a way we were practicing them before. And if you bring somebody from somewhere into something, he still comes in with his culture, he comes in with his practices, he comes in with his understanding into this new thing. He doesn't just magically lose sense of what he was doing before. It's just the same thing. If you travel out of Africa to some part of the world, anybody that sees you will still be able to know by one or two things that, oh, this person just came from Africa. Yes, it doesn't just go. Maybe after like 20, 30 years, you blend into some things and we totally can't tell the difference. But when you're just moving in, you go in with it. So when our ancestors were brought into church, right? Okay, don't let's go into that right now. When our ancestors were brought into church, sorry, something crossed my mind. When they were brought into church, they came in with their their traditional practices of religion and spirituality into church. Now, in Yoruba setting, we also have services that we do. We call it Ose. And she Ose Ifa, that's when we have the Ifa worship, Ifa service every week. One she Ose Shango, Ose Obatala. All our Orishas had their Ose. And there were practices that was synonymous with it. Now, for those that are followers of Shango, Shango is a deity of fire, of music, of dance, and they had to do dancing. There was drum rolls and dancing. That was part of it. You see them, those guys with their hairs weaved, braided here. They are dancing, they are singing, they are drumming. It is an attribute of Shango. Now, Oshun, that is the goddess and the deity of the waters. She's the one that does healing. She's the one that is the goddess of fertility. So when anybody had any fertility related thing, they come to Oshun and Oshun gives them her waters. So she used her waters for healing. All right. Oshun was the first Orisha to be called Olomiye. Omiye means water of life. Okay, so they take the children to her, they take the mothers to her. They carried that too into church. And right now in Nigeria, we have a particular church denomination, I don't want to mention names, that their founder has been tagged Olomiye. Oshun was the Olomiye, and that's where it came from. The church that they brought from wherever it is to Africa did not have Omiye. They did not even have water that they were using for miracles or healing or anything. No, it wasn't there. That is from Oshun. Now, of all the Orishas that we have, Obatala is that one Orisha that is attributed to miracles and signs and wonders. Obatala man pidon. Pidon is like magic. Without the use of any herbs, any um, elements of the universe, he just does his things, his magical things, speaking words. He was the one who was known for that. Now, look at it. There were stories in the Bible that talked about Jesus was healing, right? But when this church came, how many of those churches have you attended that you have healing service, those type of healing? That somebody comes to the church, they said the person was HIV positive, and the pastor lays hands on the person and poof, the virus is gone, or their genotype changes and all that. How many of those Orthodox churches do that? Ever did or is still doing? No. Most of it you find in African churches. This is where it came from. And a host of other things. Now, let's also get down to Yoruba churches and the way they praise God, the praise names that they give to God. You will hear things like Alagbada, Alawo Tele Oorun. It's not a Christian phrase. It's not a Christian word. Oríkì Ṣàngó ni. Ṣàngó la kọ́kọ́ kì ní alágbádá iná. Alágbádá iná is the one that has the clothes of fire. Aláwọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ oòrùn is the one that has whose under garment shines and blazes like the sun. Ṣàngó la fi tù. Alágbádá iná, the one that is clothed in fire, is not anywhere in the Bible. Is that okay? The English form of it is not anywhere in the Bible. Those came from the people that were worshiping Shango and came into church. And they carried it into church and they practiced it. Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè It came from Isheshe, it came from Ifa worship. Olorun is an Orisha that owns heaven. Oluorun, the king of heaven, the lord of heaven. Olodumare is our own supreme being. It is not a church thing. Now, what is the essence of all of this that I'm explaining, you might ask? Is the fact that Christianity felt the need to suppress African religion, to suppress all the knowledge in Ifa just to thrive. No. Let me say this for a fact. I do not have any problem with any form of religion and any form of spirituality. No. The foundation of what I know about the divine and my relationship with the spirituality was built and founded in church. And I am not here to say that whatever it is that is going on in church does not exist. No, it does exist and it is valid. But it doesn't make sense that there has to be a need to suppress another form of religion, to demonize it, to downplay it, just so that your own choice of religion can thrive. It is disturbing, and you should also ask yourself questions. If the practice of what I'm doing feels the need to pull something down, then there's something that is not right somewhere. Now, let's look at it. The only major thing that they could not take from us into religion and spirituality and turn it into their own was the use of herbs. And do you know why? There's no way they could have told us that the herbs came from them because, excuse me, we were planting the herbs behind our houses. We saw the herbs, we know their name. We know the names that these plants are called. We know what they are used for. So there was no way they could have taken that and put it into church and wrap it up to tell us that they were the ones that gave us that idea. But when they couldn't take that, do you know what they did? They demonized it. And then an average Christian feels that the use of herbs and plants and the element of universe is demonic. But you can eat plants and tell yourself that it will give me nutrients. It's not demonic when it gives you physical nutrients, but it's demonic when it gives you spiritual nutrients. And for some magical reasons, you think the only reason that God made plants is so that you can eat them. Okay, story for another day. Now, the need to demonize African spirituality, that is the truth we are uncovering. That is what we are taking away. Another thing that they succeeded in doing is painting our ancestors as demons. Oh no, you're not supposed to honor your ancestors. You're not supposed to pay image to ancestors. They are demons. Now, English dictionary, what does ancestors mean? Ancestors are your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers that have passed. Those are your ancestors, right? Literally. Now, dear Christian sister, Yoruba Christian sister, and Christian brothers, one day you will become the ancestors of your great-great-great-grandchildren and you'll be tagged a demon. Yeah, wait for it. That time is coming. Hold that thought. When you read through the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Elijah, Elisha were ancestors of some people. By the time you started reading about them, they were long dead and gone. They were the forefathers of some people. They were their ancestors. But you find it so easy and so wonderful to relate with them. You even tag God by their names, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They are not demonic. Abraham is not demonic, but Abraham is somebody's ancestors. And the way they presented your own ancestors, and you feel comfortable, you cannot pay homage to your own ancestors. You can't include them in the line of your prayer, but you can confidently say, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob should bless you. God of Elijah should send down fire. Elijah is dead, though, and he's somebody's ancestors. But when I say that Shango should send down fire, there's a problem. No, Shango is a demon. It's idol worship. We are worshiping idols. But when you say God of Abraham, we worship you, we bless you, it's not idol. It's not ancestors. And remember that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because you can argue, oh, these people were people of God, so we can attach ourselves to them. Remember that Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Elijah, Elisha, they were not born again. They existed before Christ came. So if you feel like the same way that our own African religion that we practiced before Christ came needed a fix, and the people that practiced it need to be born again into Christ, then it should also apply to ancestors of every group of people everywhere. Make it make sense. Why did they feel the need to paint our own ancestors as demonic and then exalt the ancestors of some other group of people? Ask yourself those questions. When they were going to present beautiful Bible stories to us, angels were presented as white. The devil was presented as black. Subtly, look at the skin color. Subtly, they gave us this idea that anything that looked like us is evil. Anything that looked like us is devilish. Meanwhile, in that Bible, when they wanted to describe Lucifer, that they told us that was black, they described Lucifer as the son of, the son of the morning, or the son of the light, or something like that. The morning star. Yes. The morning star. Is morning star, is it black? But there was an idea in it. There was a message they were subtly passing across to us, about our people, about anything that looks like us. Now, you see that thing they came to do? Feeling the need to pull down on our own religion. You see that thing that they came to do? Is the same thing that they are doing that is happening among the church itself. They came to Africa and they felt the need to suppress African religion, to demonize it, to badmouth it. It is happening among the church. There is no unity in the church like, oh, we all belong to Christ. We are one. No. Every denomination feels the need to pull down another denomination so that this one can thrive. It's their thing, it's what they do. And it will come out even is Iwani, Efiniwa, Omajade. It is like smoke, it will come out. Look at churches. 3, 4 churches are having convention at the same time. You as a person, you love those 3 pastors. You gain something from the 3 of them, but there's a competition of whose campground is going to be full. You are a Deeper Life Church member, which is a church that I grew up in. You cannot attend Celestial Church because those people, they burn candles, they go into trance, they are demonic, they are devilish. But you guys read the same Bible and you call the same Jesus. Redeemed Church members cannot go to this church. Christ Embassy Church members cannot go to MFM because in MFM, fall down and die. God is not a God of fall down and die. God is a God of love. And then you are an average Nigerian Christian. You japa, you travel abroad. You are in a city that the closest church, your own church, that's your XYZ church that you're attending. The closest denomination, the closest branch of that church is like 4 hours away from you. But there's another church that is close to you, another denomination, where they're also reading the same Bible. And they've accepted the same Jesus. You cannot attend. You have to drive 4 hours down every Sunday morning. Why? No, I thought it was about God. I thought it was about Jesus. When did it become a denomination and a pastorate? The same thing they did to African spirituality is what they are doing to themselves. Do you understand it now? It's the same thing. Now look at all the religious crises crisis and religious whatever it is that is happening, the fights and the wars in religion. How many of it involves anybody that practices African religion? Where have you heard it before? We're in Nigeria. I'm focusing on Nigeria. Where have you heard it that the religious war that is taking place somewhere is between people that are worshiping Ifa and Christians? You will not hear it. It's always Christian and Christian, or Christian and Muslim, or Muslim and Muslim. Can you see what it looks like now? African spirituality is practiced in different forms across Africa, from North Africa to East to Central to Southern Africa. You will never find somebody that practices African religion or spirituality saying that the way they practice it among Zulu people is wrong. They are not supposed to kill their goats in the afternoon, they are supposed to kill it in the morning. We use cowrie shells and kola nuts. So people that are using chalk, the Igbo people that are using chalk is wrong. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You will never find African spirituality doing that. Because it is not, religion and spirituality is not something that is competitive. If it is competitive, then something is wrong. If there is a need to suppress and call out another one, it is wrong. Now, I would explain this. Spirituality, simply put, we are all connected to the divine. Now, take the divine as, God. Take God as your father, right? Your father is Mr. John. To you is a father. To your mother is a husband. To his own father, he's a son. To his friends, he's a friend. To his colleagues, he has another relationship. To his neighbors, he has another relationship. Mr. John can have 10 different kind of relationship with different people. Now, you are his father. He loves you. He plays with you. You jump around. You play with your dad. You touch his hair. I learned how to braid hair with my dad's hair. So I had such playful relationship with my father. But my father was a very strict man. So the people at work would tell you that, Mr. John does not take nonsense. That man that doesn't smile, he keeps a straight face. To his own father as a son, he's like this. Epelesa, yes, sir. Now, if we were all asked to describe Mr. John, we have different descriptions. Now, imagine me as a daughter telling his co-worker, the person you just described is not Mr. John, is not my father. No, the kind of relationship you have with him is invalid. Your opinion about him does not count. Why? Because it's different from mine. That is exactly what religion and spirituality is. We are all relating to the divine in different ways. The way he revealed himself to the Hebrews and the Jews, as recorded in the Bible, is different from the way he revealed himself to my own ancestors. Is different. It is not better than the other one. It's only different. God made animals and plants and human beings. Do we have the same relationship? Do we relate to God the same way? Do we relate to the universe the same way? So are we supposed to say now that, he loves the plants more than he loves the animals? In the creation, the animals are not important. It's only human beings are important because we have brain, because we look like. No. But that is exactly what these religions are doing. And if not because, let's think about it. There's a question I usually ask. If you go into that today, we'll be here for long. But let me just ask the question. Go home and think about it. This is not about my religion. This is history. History told us that when the slave masters came to Africa, they did very despicable things, dehumanizing things to our people. So it means that the first set of people that went to church did not accept Jesus. They were forced into church, because how does somebody accept a foreign religion that is presented by people that bullied them, sold them into slavery, killed them, tortured them, Certain things I can't even say on this life was done to them. History has it. We know it is there. There is proof. How did those people accept what they brought and willfully open their hands and their hearts to it? So they were forced. They were tortured into accepting it. They were brainwashed. They said a lot of things to them to the point that they started to doubt the existence of God in their own previous way of life. They started to doubt if, oh, God did not really love us. We needed saving. And it took these people to come and force saving on us. How do you put those two things together? They came to tell us that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, and whoever believes should not perish but have everlasting life. God so loved the world. And then they did all those things they did. How is that on the same page? How does that speak love? So it had to have taken a ton of brainwashing to get these people to accept something that hurt them, something that stole from them, something that destroyed among them. That still doesn't mean I'm saying Christianity is bad and all evil. No. But I'm saying that if it came to us on a platter of, let's see what you guys have to offer and let's make a choice, it would have made sense. Until today, it is still not like that. Any thought of anything traditional. No, it's demonic. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I cannot. They will tell you African religion and spirituality is about sacrifice. We can't sacrifice. No, it's not like I don't like African spirituality. No, yes, I come to your page, everything I listen to. I see that part of, I mean, why must you do sacrifices and offerings, A22, Ebo, appeasement, don't start coming from somebody whose religion hangs on the foundation of the sacrifice of a whole human being. A human being was sacrificed. That's the basis of your salvation. They have a problem with my own religion by sacrificing animals and goats. Are you serious? Is it making sense? No, you should keep setting arguments to yourself because it doesn't add up. God that created the whole heavens and earth, who can just blow salvation into like, you are born again, you are making heaven, you are now in creature. He didn't do that. He had to sacrifice. Blood and water to flow out of him. His life had to go before he can get you. He could not waive on the principle of sacrifice and claim to live in that God. And then you look at somebody else and talk them down because they are sacrificed. It's not a competition. The form of religion you chose to sacrifice a human being. The one that I choose is choosing to sacrifice dog and cat. It's my choice. Why do you feel the need to make me look bad? And I am not here pointing at you to make you look bad. I'm not talking against Jesus. I'm not talking against his death on the cross. You will never find any African religion practitioner doing that. Is that what you believe? Hold it. Do it. Is it working for you? That's awesome. Let us do our own too. Let the people that want to learn about African spirituality be able to research and find knowledge without the need to sneak around. Do you know how many pastors and church leaders I have as clients? There is nothing wrong. IFA welcomes everybody to his mat. Before you can come for an IFA consultation, there is no prerequisite of you have to be initiated into IFA or you have to publicly identify. It's not there. Anybody can come. If you come today and you don't come tomorrow, nobody is going to look for you. If you decide to come to this IFA priest today and you go to another IFA priest next year, nobody is going to look for you. It is not against the religion in any way. So I'm not saying it to shame them. I don't have a problem with the fact that pastors and other religious leaders are coming to us. But I have a problem with the fact that they need to sneak around because their religion has so painted this other side as terrible and evil, and they genuinely want to get help. They genuinely want knowledge, but they can't get it openly. They have to sneak around and do it. They are scared of being caught practicing their own religion. How is somebody scared of being caught sitting in his own house or driving his father's car or eating out of his own kitchen? This is my grandfather's house. I want to go upstairs and sleep on the bed, and then I have to sneak around. I'm not a stranger. Meanwhile, strangers can come to African spirituality and practice with open arms. But you, Omo Yoruba Gongon, you are sneaking around because you don't want your pastor to see. And when you came here, everything that we are doing, which one looks evil to you? Which one is? Because everything that they've shown you, Nollywood has not even helped. Everything they've depicted. By the time you come here, is that what you found here? Are we as bad as they told you that we are? Are we as terrible as they told you that you are? No. So now, the question to wrap this up. Why do you think they felt the need to cover up, to suppress, and to demonize African religion? Simple. Because they know that we had the truth. We had knowledge. Our practices were divine. We had power. The same things that was written in their Bible, we have experienced it before they came. When they came and they saw us, we didn't need them for anything. At least religious wise and spiritual. We didn't need them for anything. So they had to take away that which was our strongest and make us feel like we were empty so that we can feel indebted to them. They came to save us. They are the ones that brought the gospel. Oh my God. They were the ones that brought the gospel to us. They are the ones that brought salvation to us. No, I'm sorry. We did not need saving. Did we need the technological advancement? Yes. They should have stopped at that. But you know one thing? Even the basics of technological advancement. You guys have heard Professor Sophia. She was a professor at University of Lagos. Google Professor Sophia and see her videos about physics coming out of IFA. Binary numbers started with IFA. Mathematics is in IFA. Physics is in IFA. Technology is in IFA. Ogun is the father of technology. Read it. All these things that they asked you not to read. Go and read it. There's nothing that will happen to you if you read it. What's their fear? What's the worst that can happen? What is their fear? They feel that if you come and you read this and you study, you will just go poof to hellfire. Really? It is just to be able to control us. And I'm glad that we live in a time and age where knowledge has become, open. You don't have to go into a village, walking around somewhere to find out things. You can actually find out. You can learn. And my need to push out knowledge is the reason that I founded the IFA College, the International College of IFA Religion and Yoruba Studies. We have 5 courses there at the moment. Yoruba Studies as a course, Orisha Studies as a course, IFA Religion and Spirituality as a course, Orisha Herbalism as a course, Oshun Fertility and Midwifery as a course. You would learn. You would find out these things. So many of the things that were stolen from us and, they have now turned it into their own. You will see and you will find out. In another Sunday, I would explain to you why and how they picked our mothers, our Yami, and labeled them as witches. Those set of women in African spirituality, women in African spirituality are powerful. I don't want to use the word spiritually powerful. When you see a grown Yoruba man greet a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old girl as Iyawa Epele, àwọn Iyawa nìyẹn. Iyawa means my mother. To a 10-year-old, he understands what he's doing. It's not sarcasm. They couldn't suppress those women. They couldn't dominate them. They labeled them as witches and banished them. Suffer not a witch to live. Push them out. Nobody should talk to them. Nobody. Then you too. Every grandmother in your village, you're looking at her like a witch. If she's a witch, you think you'll be alive till today. She's a witch and you grew up and you went to Lagos and you went to America and you got married. Every mother is now a witch. That was what they made us believe to suppress these women. I will break it down in another whole session. But you see, you are African, and there's a reason we are Africans. There's a reason we are created like this. Don't let anybody make you think that we were lost and then we needed saving. Don't let anybody make you feel like God hated our race, our color, and he needed some other race and color to come and save us. No. Even the Bible says, for God so loved the world. If there was anything that needed saving, it's the entire world. The entire world is lost in sin. It's not just a group of people. And if you need to find truth and life, he's here. In this 256 in Odrifa, he's here. And you know the interesting thing, this is more relatable because this came from your own people, by your own people, to your own people, in a language that you understand by yourself. It has become a thing of pride for a young Yoruba girl not to be able to speak English, speak Yoruba. Do you know why? Because they know that if you understand Yoruba and you can read it fluently, you will be able to pick up Iwe Ifa and read it for yourself. Did you ever know that the story of the virgin birth of the exact story of the virgin birth of Jesus, did you know that it was in the Ifa? If not because I read it to you. Will I have been able to read it if I don't understand Yoruba? Please, this is knowledge. And even the Bible says that people perish for lack of knowledge. And they keep saying, they make fun of us saying that if you want to hide anything from a person of color, put it in a book. Don't let that be you anymore. What's the worst that can happen if you really find out how spirituality was done among your people? What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen if you gain knowledge? Even the religion you're practicing says you should test all spirits. Test it. Put it side by side and ask questions. If your religious leader cannot answer those questions, or they are telling you, no, don't go there, something is wrong. Find out. As a people, African spirituality is not recruiting. We are learning and understand what these things are. Sorry, I think there was a disruption in the light. Learn and understand what these things are. Gain knowledge and gain wisdom for yourself. Put it side by side. Let your thirst for the divine, the purity of your heart to which you want to know God, let it guide you into the truth. Question certain things. Ask questions. Why are these things this way? And you find out that a lot of these things they told you, they were not true. Thank you so much for taking out your time. I don't know how long have we been here now? Oh, we're almost. I usually want to stay within 1 hour, and we're 3 minutes to the end of 1 hour. So this is the time where I get to say prayers for you into your week. I would say them in Yoruba and interpret in English, whichever way that it comes. Akoda ayé ìbà, ìbà ṣẹ̀dá, ìbà dẹ́dà, ìbà ẹni tó kọ́kọ́ tẹ̀ ká tó tẹ̀, ìbà wọn tó ti lọ ká tó lọ, ìbà jagunmalè olúwo òde ọ̀run, ìbà ẹ̀yin ìyá mi ọ̀pàkẹ́ àlàkẹ́, ẹ̀yin àtẹ̀dọ̀ jòróòró, ìbà ọlọ́kọ̀ tó wà wá wá sáyé, ìbà àwọn olú ọ̀run. Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè, àjúbà yín o, a ní kí bà wá ṣe. Wọ́n léwúrẹ́ tó wọlé tí ò bá júbà, òun ló dẹran àmúso. Àgùntàn tó wọlé tí ò júbà, ṣebí òun ló dẹran àmúso. Àwa ti wọlé ajúbà lénìí, kí bà wá ṣe. Wọ́n lọ́mọdé tó bá júbà, ó máa roko dalẹ́. Ó ti di dandan fún wa báyìí láti roko dalẹ́. Ajé ògúngúlùsọ̀, onísọ̀ bòjì. Ọ̀la lọ́jọ́ ajé o, mo wá pe ajé pé kí ajé wá jókòó tì yín, kẹ́ ẹ lájé lọ́wọ́, kẹ́ ẹ má ní lọ́rùn. Lórígun mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin àgbálá ayé káwọn èèyàn jàǹkànjàǹkàn, àwọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan, àwọn lórúkọ lórúkọ, àwọn ni kán wá yín wá. Gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ bá dáwọ́ yín lé, kí ajé sọ ọ́ di ńlá mọ́ yín lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n ní awọ̀lúmátẹ́ lórúkọ tá à ń pe Ifá, awọ̀lúmátòṣì lórúkọ tá à ń pè Èṣù ọ̀dàrà. Gbogbo ibi tẹ́ ẹ bá wọ̀, ẹ ní tẹ́, ẹ ní tí, ẹ ní mọ òṣì, ẹ ní mọ jàǹbá, ẹ ní mọ jákulẹ̀. Ẹnu yín tó ti jẹran rí kò ní padà wá jẹgun láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Lọ́lá àwọn tó ṣílẹ̀kùn ọjọ́ èní, ire látọ̀tún látòsì báyìí ló máa wá fún yín. Ṣèbí wọ́n ní àtọ̀tún àtòsì báyìí lẹyẹ ilé fi ń kóre wá. Ire á máa wọlé fún yín. Àníkún àlékún ni ire máa jẹ́ fún yín. Ẹ wà ní lájé lọ́rùn. Ajé ò ní bínú sí yín. Ẹ ní di ọ̀tá ajé. Nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ máa gbélẹ̀ tí ọmọ aráyé máa fi bú yín, Elédùmarè ò ní yọ̀ǹda ẹ̀ fún yín. Wọ́n nínú igbó òun ni orógbó ń wà. Ọmọ aráyé ńlànà kan ni. Inú igbó lobì ń wà, ọmọ aráyé ńlànà kan. Níbi gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ bá wà, ọmọ aráyé á lànà ire kàn yín, wá lànà owó kàn yín. Wọ́n níjọ́ tí òrí bá fojú kan ọ̀run báyìí, ijọ́ yẹn ló ń yọ́. Ẹ̀yọ́nú àwọn àgbàlagbà, ẹ̀yọ́nú àwọn ayé, ó wá di tiyín báyìí. Ẹ ní tẹ ojú ayé mọ́lẹ̀ o. Níjọ́ tẹ́bí bá ń pọ̀nà, ẹ ní bá wọn rìn lọ́nà o. Ògún ò ní fẹ̀jẹ̀ yín wẹ̀. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ ọ̀tá yín òun lògún máa fi tẹ̀, tó máa fi kọ́lé fún yín láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Níbi gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ bá wá ń lọ, ire Ọ̀ṣun á máa bá yín lọ. Ọ̀ṣun ṣẹ̀ǹgẹ̀ṣẹ́ kò ní pọnmi dà sínú yín. Tọmọtọmọ tọkọ tìyàwó tẹbí, Ọ̀ṣun ò ní pọnmi dà sínú yín o. Ẹ ní ríjà omi àtèmi àti yín. Gbogbo àdáwọ́lé wa báyìí á máa yọrí sí rere. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìjọba, ọkọ ọba àdá ọba kò ní kọ yín lẹ́sẹ̀. Ẹ kéré oko báyìí, ẹ kó wálé. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ wà lókè òkun, àtọ̀rẹ́ ni àtará ni tó ti lọ sókè òkun, wọn ò ní gbé sájò, wọn á padà wálé pẹ̀lú ire ni láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Gbogbo àwa tá a wá ń ta ọjà, àtàjèrè ló máa jẹ́ fún wa, nítorí pé ó sọ pé ọmọ ẹ̀tà ní kọ́kọ́ tà, kọ́mọ ẹlòmíràn tó tà, kí gbogbo àwọn alábàátà yín tó tà, ẹ̀yin lẹ kọ́kọ́ máa tà síre, sáyọ̀, sídùnnú láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Ṣèbí àwíṣẹ ní tifá, àfọ̀ṣẹ ní tọ̀rúnmìlà. Èyí tí mo wí lénìí, Elédùmarè ti fi àṣẹ sí. Ó ti rí bẹ́ẹ̀, ó ti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Àṣẹ. I pray for you that as you go into this day, by the power that holds the heavens, the powers that hold the earth, and nothing can shake it, your glory and your destiny will not be shaken. In any way that you have made decisions that is not in line with your destiny, either the decisions was made for you or by somebody else, your Ori, your Eleda will rewrite that path for you. Láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. As you go to the east and to the west, goodness will come to you. Méjì méjì la dálé ayé o, ire àtìdákejì ẹ̀ lọ́jìjọ máa rìn, ire nìkan lẹ̀yin á máa rí. This world is created good and bad, it works together. But your Ori, your Eleda, will direct you to the path of goodness, the knowledge that you need to get yourself out of that darkness, that dark hole, that downward spiral that you have descended in. Your Ori will find that knowledge and bring you out. Èyí tí mo ti wí lénìí, ó dàṣẹ o. Wọ́n ní àbá lálágẹmọ máa ń dá, òrìṣà òkè ló máa ń fàṣẹ sí. Ọmọ alágẹmọ ni mí, mo ti dábàá lénìí, Elédùmarè ti fàṣẹ sí. Ó rí bẹ́ẹ̀, ó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, àṣẹ. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. This is the first time and it's like been interesting. So it's going to be a weekly thing. Just set your timer from any time zone where you're joining me. And if you join the live halfway, maybe because you're on a different time zone, please just let me know the time zone that you are. I would also try and save this video. I've not done this before. I hope there's an option of save so that other people can watch it. Share with your friends, share with your loved ones. And I always say this, I love you with all my heart. I'm doing this because of you. It's a privilege for me to go on a journey. It's a privilege for me to know that people like you choose to listen to me and trust Olodumare in me. I love you. So let's see how we get to end this. How do we end this? How do we end this? Where do we end it? Where do we end it? Okay. Oh, somebody just tell me where we go this life. Because I don't know. Okay, I think that's from